My name is Oscar, and I help people raise their vibration and share their gift with the world. And in this video, you're gonna understand why it takes 40 days to form a new habit due to a cosmic time loop that you cannot avoid. And learn about the 4 pillars of evolution that you have to move through in order to wire in a new way of being and reprogram your subconscious mind. Now, this is the 42nd video I'm doing. And so it marks a little bit of a culmination for me. And I've moved through stages in this process that I haven't really been conscious of. But what is very interesting and what I discovered today is something that I feel is going to blow your mind. Because there is an underlying reason as to why it is so hard to reach a new way of being in any type of skill that you want to acquire. And it actually moves through stages. And the way that I discovered this was that I was at an event, or I was in let's say a retreat, actually, like a retreat in 3 days ago. And in this retreat, I had an Akashic reading. And in that reading, they said that I'm related to the Pleiadians. So I was very curious about this, and I started reading about it and so forth. And then I went into Gaia, and I started looking at this and starting to understand about the Pleiadians. And I came across a video that's called the Cosmic Confederation, right, of a guy called Matthias De Stefano. And when I looked at this video, all the pieces of the puzzle started to come into my mind. Because what this video speaks about is that we are, obviously, we're not alone in this universe. And more importantly, there is a cosmic confederation of beings that are ruling or are overseeing our evolution as human beings. And the reason why they're doing this is because we are waking up as a planet. And as a planet, we are rippling out that vibration into the universe, and it awakens other beings to our presence. Now, the thing is this, that us human beings, we have so many emotions, because as we're moving through these 12 constellations, we get affected by every character trait there is in the universe, because that is represented in the 12 zodiac signs. And this means that as we're moving through these zodiac signs, we get affected by these emotions. And that's what the 24,000 year cycle of the precession of the equinoxes is, when we're moving from one zodiac to the next, right? And we've been in Pisces, and now we're moving into Aquarius. And Aquarius is sort of the transcendence of it all. But that's not all. So the Cosmic Confederation, they're overseeing that we're moving through these cycles, and that we're learning the appropriate lessons as we're moving through this. Because let's say that we stop in one of these 24,000 or 2,400 year cycles, right? Then what happens is that we have to redo, if we don't learn our lesson, we have to redo 24,000 years as a soul or as a spirit. And now, as we're closing in on this, we're starting becoming aware, right? Because we're in the Aquarius season. So the Cosmic Confederation oversees that we're following the process of evolution in the correct way. But that's not all. So there's a reason why there's something called sadhana, for instance, in the spiritual practices. And the sadhana is typically 40 days. And the reason why it is 40 days is because we have to prove that we are worthy of the next phase of our evolution, right? Because the thing is this, that if you were to release a human being that hasn't dealt with his emotions properly and integrated them fully, then if one of those human beings would end up in the Cosmic Confederation, because we are so powerful and we would become godlike, it would be exactly like Infinity Wars, or like in the Avengers, when someone snaps their fingers and they could kill any being in the universe instantly, because we have so much emotions. Like, emotions are energy in motions, and if it's uncontrolled, it could wreak havoc, literally. So we need to be well, our next phase needs to be this needs to be um, you know, moved in through by merit, right? That's why it takes 40 days to form a new habit. And the reason why is because we need to integrate all of this in the four pillars of evolution, which is expression, experimentation, integration, and transcendence. And expression is related to the body, right? It's related to the water, the emotion, right? The next one is experimentation, which is earth, and it's related to the soul. Next one is spirit, related to the mental and the mental realm, which is fire. And then you have the energetic, or the being, which is related to wind. Now, all of these stages are something that happens during a 40-day cycle as you're creating a new habit. And most people aren't aware of this, and that's why we fail miserably when we're moving through a stage of actually creating a new way of being, right? So what happens then? Well, if we look at it from the practical side, is that the first stage is called water, right? Because we're 70% water in our body. So the body, we will move through emotion, right? Which means the first 10 days that you are flowing through this will be a lot of emotions coming up, right? And the first things that you will find when you do this is that it's going to be hard. You will have to sort of move through fear. You have to move through courage and all of these stages in order to get to the other side. And once you've moved through these 10 days, right? But during those 10 days, you will feel discouraged, and you will come up with all the reasons why it is not relevant for you to do what you do. That will be hard to get up in the morning, and so forth and so forth, right? And that was what happened when I did my videos, I didn't know that this was what I was doing, but because I had devoted, I said to myself, I'm going to do a video every day, no matter what, right? And I did. And when I did so, then I first felt the emotions, right? I was so scared. If you look at my first video, I was really, really scared. and there was a lot of emotions coming up. And so it was that same way for 10 of the videos. Next, I moved into experimentation, which is the physical aspect, right? Where I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna play around with this. So I started to see if, like, oh, maybe I can add some text to my videos. Perhaps I can find an intro that is cool. I can put some music on it. Oh, I can do this. I wonder if I should do that in the beginning, or I should do that, right? I experimented a lot. And I also experimented with how I would write it all down and how that would work, right? So the next phase is experimentation, where you will, by you just doing things, then you will start becoming aware of, like, oh, I want to do this. And that's where you start finding your ways of, like, oh, this works, this doesn't work, and so forth. I mean, I had some videos, some people that commented on my, for instance, I wrote an epic green screen challenge when I felt really like, oh, I really don't want to do this, right? And someone is like, oh God, there was just one big promo. And that was my experimentation, and that's the beauty of understanding that it's an imperfect action. And we need to give ourselves that permission to be imperfect in what we do. Because if we don't, then these 40 days will be cut off and we will lose our momentum. Because the thing is this, if you skip too many days on this cycle, it will restart because you are bound by merit, right? You are cosmically looked upon from the sky, from the Cosmic Confederation and so forth, and they know if you're doing the work or you're not. And you cannot escape, no matter how much your ego tries to do certain things. So the third stage is integration. The integration is fire, right? Where you start to alchemize what you've learned. You start integrating it, right? I started to see, like, oh, that works and that works, and I'm just gonna mold that together because it feels like this is a very natural way of expression. It's like, oh, the camera can sit in this way, and everything starts coming into place, right? You start seeing, it's like, oh, okay, well, this can actually work. This gives value to people. And so that's the integration phase, when I started to realize, it's like, okay, I have this software for that. I know how I'm supposed to do this. I do this thumbnail with this thing and so forth, right? That's when you start seeing, is like, okay, this becomes sort of my brand. Now, the fourth stage is the being, right? It's when you're taking the emotions, the physical, and the spiritual, right? The spiritual, but that's the mind also. Like it's the meaning, it's the reasons, right? And all of that together with the being, where all those three, the Trinity, becomes unified as one single thing. And the way I started to perceive this is when things started to flow more and more as I stood here and I talked to the camera. Because I started noticing that this flow started to come through me into the camera. I started to feel way more comfortable, and also know it doesn't take that long anymore to create a new video. And that's very fascinating for me. And so this is what I want to, put your attention to, right? First of all, when you're starting out, whatever you're starting out, you're going to find there's going to be emotions, right? There will be 10 days where you will be pounded by emotions as you're doing your sadhana, right? And your sadhana can be anything that you deem is important for you in your life. So 10 days, emotional, I wouldn't say hell, but you will have upsets and ideas about why you shouldn't do what you're beginning to do. Now, the second phase is experimentation, where you will start like, oh, this is gonna come up. You will start perceiving the new ideas and start reorganizing things around in order for things to actually look in a quite a proper way. Fourth one is integration, where you will start seeing is like, oh, this works, this works, this works, this I'm gonna keep, this I'm not gonna keep, this is what it's all about, and this is the new way of being that starts coming in. And then the fourth one will be the being, right, where this it becomes sort of a unification and an understanding around it. And that's when you might become really, for me, it was when I became comfortable with the camera and sort of with the production, and I didn't really feel that scared anymore about what I'm producing and how it's going to look or what people will say. I just committed to the process, right? And that I even made a video when I was on this this retreat, even though I had my mind was full of a lot of other things. And now I'm moving into the stage where a new process is probably starting, where I'm like, okay, how am I going to tag this? How am I going to index this? How is this going to work, right? And that's a new process that is starting, is a new 40-day cycle. And as you're continuing with this, obviously it becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. But 40 days is the required amount, right? Because the 21 days that people are speaking about is only when you come past the two threshold, right? The emotional, the experimentation, and then you enter the first day of integration, right? That's why they're saying, oh, it takes 40 days or 21 days to form a new habit, but it doesn't. It takes 40. But you enter the first day of integration when you have 21 days. And it takes 20 days normally to take away a bad habit, but it takes 20 days afterwards to form the new one. So that's what I wanted to share with you on this video. Realize that whatever you do, find that one thing that you truly commit to, imperfectly, to do, because and do it, just small task, but make sure that you do it, because you're not necessarily do it for other people. You're doing it for you, because you are vetted as you're moving through this process. Every single time when you're starting this sadhana or this 40-day practice, whatever it is in your life, you are vetted and you're moving through these 4 stages. And it's really important for you to understand that, because then you will become aware, know what you're getting yourself into, and become observant of what you're actually noticing in this moment. And so you can deal with the emotions as they come up, you can deal with the experimentation as it comes up, and so forth and so forth and so forth. So that's it for this video. I hope you got a lot out of it. Please take this into account. 40 days, you will be a new person, and it just will feel very natural for you. Comment below and tell me your own ideas around this. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace, love, and joy to all of you. Bye for now.